Well, India breached the Gabatoir. Fortress GABBA, Australia hadn't been beaten there since 1988. India, a second-string India side almost, have done it, and with a record run chase on this ground as well. Sonal Gavaskar, you were calling the final moments of this match as well. First of all, as a former India player, as a great of the game, give us a sense of the enormity of this win and your own emotions that are attached to it.
Well, let me say I'm over the moon and still in orbit.
That's a pretty good start.
Because, like everybody said, that this is, the Australian fortress, cricketing fortress, that it hasn't been breached since 1988. I did say before the test started that there is always a first time. And because I had this confidence about this young team that they wanted to do something spectacular. A team which has been waiting for an opportunity. A lot of players are waiting for an opportunity, being part of the India A team, being part of the under-19 teams, and just waiting for that, little entry and the honor of wearing the India cap. And once they got it, like, for example, the Natarajans, the Washington Sundars, Shardul Thakur coming back into the team after 2 years, Mohammad Siraj also playing in his second or third test, and Shubman Gill. All these young players, when they got the opportunity, they wanted to show that they belong at the highest level. And therefore, I had that confidence that, yes, this Indian team can do something spectacular. And that's exactly what they did. And that's why, like I said, I'm over the moon and still in orbit.
It is spectacular. Is it also India's most famous test win, their greatest test win? Where would you rank it?
Well, I think those things, it's like when you have, different eras and you have players being called the greatest, when the past is forgotten because, the present is in front of us. I would like to think that this definitely is amongst the top Indian wins. In 1971, when we beat West Indies for the first time ever in a test match, and then because of that win, we won the series in the West Indies. And beating England, an England team which had just won the Ashes and which had just, returned to England. Those two wins were massive wins as well, and this win is a massive win as well, super massive win. So I would imagine that this would fit in those three, amongst those three wins.
Because a Test match win to win the series 2-1 as well. Rishabh Pant led the way. He wasn't even in the first Test match. He wasn't originally in India's first choice 11. He will be now going forwards, won't he? Well,
it'll be hard to take him out. It'll be hard to keep a Shubman Gill out. And I think that's exactly what India need to do. India need to now then look at people who are totally 100% committed to Indian cricket. That is the only way, because you do not want, people who are, for whatever reasons, are not fully committed to Indian cricket. This team over here, what we saw, was fully committed. And I think, therefore, somebody like a Rishabh Pant, somebody like a Shubman Gill, somebody like a Washington Sundar, I mean, you have to give them as many opportunities as they can, because with every opportunity, with every experience that they get with every opportunity, they're only going to get better.
This series win, also notable for the fact that Virat Kohli wasn't there by the end. He only featured in the first Test match. It was the 36 all-out in Adelaide. Ajinkya Rahane has led the fight back. Will this be a conversation that will be had about the most suitable Test captain for the India side?
I don't think so. I don't think that'll happen. I think the selection committee is probably meeting even as we speak to pick the teams for the matches against England. And they have to pick it earlier on. It was not picked that early, but because of the COVID situation, teams are now going to be picked well ahead. So they'll probably be the ones who will be taking the decision. It's not for me to say what they should be doing, because quite frankly, they get a truckload of money to do the job. And I'm not going to say anything, which will cause them to, think, whatever way they want to think. So it's something that they will have to look at. But I don't think this conversation will take place about changing the captain, at least not for now.
But what can you say about the way that Rahane did lead this side when he was asked to do so, under trying circumstances and the injuries that befell the team as well?
I think he was very relaxed. He's always been a relaxed person, a calm, cool, collected person. Sometimes, that coolness has allowed him to be run over in terms of when he was dropped. Despite being the vice captain, he was dropped in the first two Test matches in South Africa, the two Test matches that India lost in 2017-18. And then when he came back for the third test match on a really dicey pitch, he was the one who held fort in both the innings, and India went on to win that match. So I think now it'll be, again, like we talked about how difficult it'll be to drop Rishabh Pant, how difficult it'll be to drop somebody like an Ajinkya Rahane as well. And because he looks like one of the boys. Clearly, from outside, you don't know what's happening inside the change room. But the boys around him seem to be a lot more relaxed. They seem to be, enjoying themselves. And the results were out there because they were out there playing a sport. At the end of the day, this is a game. This is a sport that young men want to play. And they were playing it, having great delight in playing it.
They won this test match against one of the best bowling attacks in the world, and on home soil in Australia are vaunted as one of, if not the best bowling attack in the world. Have they now been found wanting?
The Australian attack did really well. Pat Cummins, for example, was trying everything. Mitchell Starc was off colour apart from that first test in Adelaide where he got wickets. He just seemed to have lost the one that came back into the right-hander, and therefore was not even, did not even look dangerous. Even when he banged the ball in short, there were maybe a couple of overs where he looked dangerous. But otherwise, he wasn't at his best, and maybe that's the reason why the Australians were not able to finish the match in Sydney or win the match over here at GABBA. So I think maybe he needs a break, whatever, to recharge his batteries. But the Australian attack is a very, very good attack, and therefore to be able to thwart that attack and win is a real special victory.
What do you think gave India the belief that they could do it in this fourth test match, given the circumstances?
I think they needed a good start. And though Rohit fell early, the partnership between Shubman Gill and Pujara gave them that platform. So if the first three batsmen give you that platform, then the batsman coming down the order can look to up the ante, which is exactly what happened. Even Rahane, when he came into bat at number 4, he tried to up the ante, scored 24 of 22 deliveries, and then promoted Rishabh Pant at number 5 ahead of Mayank Agarwal. So I think that platform that Pujara and Shubman Gill gave was probably the reason why this happened.
And going to be tough for selectors, isn't it? Because when you look at the names who didn't play towards the end of this series, Kohli, Bumrah, Ashwin, Jadeja, Yadav, Shami, KL Rahul had gone home as well, Vihari, although, of course, a number of those players played vital roles in getting to this fourth test match position. Yeah,
some of them, obviously, because of injuries, will not be available for maybe the first couple of test matches. So most of the guys who won today will be able to carry on for the first 2 test matches. And how they do over there will mean that the seniors who are out know that their places, they will not be able to take the places for granted, and that there is competition for places. And when that happens, when you have competition for places, there's no room for complacency. And all the time you get more than 100% effort every time. And that's the best thing that can happen to any team.
And what of Australia? Where do you see them going from here? They've obviously got games against South Africa, but in terms of the impact that this series defeat could have on this team and the leadership duo, Langer and Payne, they will be feeling it very tough.
Yes, I'm sure they will be. And I did suggest at the end of the Sydney test about, Tim Payne's captaincy. People thought that it was because of what he was speaking from behind the stumps. It wasn't about that. I tried to explain that as far as the tactical awareness was concerned, I thought, and I could be wrong, that he didn't quite live up to what the tactical awareness should have been at that level. Some of the field placing, some of the bowling changes were not there. And I also gave the example of last year or 2 years ago in the Ashes series, when Ben Stokes and Jack Leach were allowed to score about 90 runs for the last wicket to win a game. So even over there, the bowling changes he made, the field placing, etc. But Australia retained the Ashes by winning 2 test matches. England won 2 test matches. So maybe people overlooked that. Maybe people in Australia are still overlooking the fact that as a captain, I'm talking about as a captain. I'm not talking about as a leader. There's a big difference when I'm talking about a captain and a leader. As a leader, he's been outstanding because what Australia went through 2 years ago and how he has helped, for the Australian cricket to bounce back. About that, there's no question. As a cricketing captain is what I'm saying. As a cricketing captain, maybe now is the time, or maybe not now, but maybe after the series in South Africa, is the time that they have to look at somebody who will be a little more tactically aware, who would be shrewd in planning for the opposition and making sure that Australia don't miss out on the opportunities like they missed at Headingley, at Sydney, and at the GABBA.
Sonny, it's been a real pleasure having you part of the ABC team across the summer. I know you will enjoy this Indian victory, and it's been wonderful to have you part of the team. So thank you for your company as well.
Well, I've enjoyed every moment. It's just a pity that we were down in the studio. I was really looking forward to be able to sit down with Jim Maxwell, with my good friend Ian Chappell, Dirk Nannes, and the others, and to do comment with you, of course, and do commentary. And it happened for the first couple of test matches, so you could say that 50% at least I managed to get what I want, because even as somebody who's played cricket for some time, you're always looking to learn, and then being as a commentator and a media person, you're trying to learn. And when you learn from somebody like a Maxwell and from a Chappell and even from Nannes and yourself, it can only add to your performance the next time around. So I'm delighted that I got the opportunity to work for ABC Radio. I'd like to thank the ABC Radio people who trusted me to do the job, and I'd like to wish the Australian public the very best, and God bless you all.
Very kind words, Sonny. We'll see you next time.
Sure.